Hello everyone, welcome back to the coverage for RBY OU overused in SPL 16, brought to you by yours truly, Marco SD. So first of all we have Prinz, Alexander against Felix. Also my bad for calling Prinz as Alexander, but I cannot help that. So game 1, Alexander anti leads, Jinx misses, Thunder Wave at second chance. Finally Jinx connects, rest. Everything ordinary here, so Chansey puts pressure on Jinx. Felix lures Sing, but it misses. It would have been good for him had Sing it, because he wanted to put Jinx to sleep. Instead, he needs to find a way to absorb sleep with Jinx without getting KO'd in the process. So Felix has to keep switching around, and finally it's Snorlax against paralyzed Sing Chansey. Prinz settles for Thunder Wave instead of going for the greedy Sing. So Felix trades his paralyzed Snorlax for Alexander Snorlax, which is an okay-ish trade if you consider that Prinz's Chansey doesn't have Ice Beam. Then Prinz has Executor out, and Jinx is put to sleep finally. At turn 24, Alexander had the option to go Tauros. He did not. He decided to use Sleep Powder. Then a speed up, Rhydon switches into Chansey. Body Slam the Starmie. Felix has to switch out. Alexander lands Thunder Wave on Chansey, and Felix does the same on Starmie. Both players now struggle to make progress against Chansey, but Felix has Rhydon against Seismic Toss Chansey. Alexander has to pick one between risking explosion with Executor, PPstalling, or exposing Tauros. He decides to expose Tauros, which is not going to work. So Felix is now in the lead. Alexander is now trying to Paraslam Starmie with Tauros, which is not going to work in the big picture. Like, Felix is going to protect his Chansey, and there's no way Alexander can beat it, because Starmie, Felix's Starmie has Blizzard most likely, so Felix is going to use Starmie against Executor. He can stall Alexander's team. Okay, Tauros has rest, but I don't think this will be enough. Then Tauros Dido. Felix has the advantage, and Prinz's Tauros goes down. Good game. Game 2, Alexander and Ty leads. Chansey puts pressure. No Tauros yet. Chansey against Chansey. Both players trade Thunder Wave. And then some PPstalling. Then Felix goes Snorlax. Prinz deals some damage to Snorlax. Then goes to his own Snorlax, which is Amnesialax. Felix uses Selfdestruct. Felix revenge kills with Tauros, doesn't get a good enough roll. Snorlax leaves, uses Blizzard at +2 special, and it gets the freeze on Tauros, so it looks like this is going to end the game. Felix gets the KO on Chansey, but I don't think this will be enough to get back into this game. On top of that, it's Zapdos against Rhydon, so a good game. So game 3. Alexander anti leads. Thunder Wave lands on Chansey, which is okay. When your opponent has Jinx, you're fine with Chansey being a status absorber. Felix gets the first sleep. Then Snorlax Ditto. Felix opts out. Alexander has Jengar. And finally, Alexander explodes on Starmie. Strategically, this is not where Alexander wants to be. He needs something to deal with Chansey. The good part for him is that Jengar is walling Felix's Snorlax. However, I like Felix's position better right now. Felix lands Stun Spore, but Alexander takes courage and explodes Executor, connecting on Chansey. And this is exactly what Felix didn't want to happen. Jengar and Articuno is revealed, so this core without Starmie and Chansey in the way, this core is going to be a pain to deal with for Felix. Jengar tries to land Hypnosis on Executor. Executor wakes up immediately, so Alexander uses Explosion. Tauros Ditto. Alexander gets the critical hit and predicts Snorlax to come in correctly. Very good play. So at this point, Felix only has Tauros to stop Alexander's Tauros. So good series, well played by both. Then it's Serpi against Genesis. Jengar against Zapdos. Serpi doesn't want to risk Thunder Wave on Jengar, so goes Chansey. And the next turn he goes Rhydon. So this is a weird build. You don't see Jengar and Rhydon together very often. Genesis goes Executor, but unfortunately for him, Chance is paralyzed, and this is what Serpi was looking for, getting a status absorber with this team. So both players like Zapdos getting put to sleep, Serpi has Cloyster, and also Genesis has Cloyster. Serpi goes Gengar, then Chansey. Good switch by Genesis, goes Snorlax. Genesis is rewarded by RNG, gets the critical hit, then body slams Starmie. Paraslam kicks in. Serpi goes Rhydon as Genesis goes Chansey, so Genesis gets Ice Beam off. Okay, so Genesis goes Snorlax. Rhydon comes in. So this looks like a game where there is a lot of stalling by Serpi. There is some asymmetry. This is going to be interesting. Paralysis on Executor with Rhydon. Surf Starmie cannot deal enough damage to Executor, but it's slowly taking it down. Finally, Serpi predicts Genesis Explosion with Gengar. Nice turn. Next, Starmie against Snorlax. So the way I look at this game is that Genesis has FELIX and he doesn't want to fight through Serpi's defenses. So he decided to keep Chansey status free, and he had to play Executor against Starmie, which eventually did not work. Anyway, Alakazam and Chansey trade paralysis. And yeah, Serpi has to use Alakazam against Chansey because it's Beam Bolt, so Rhydon cannot switch in. And Cloyster cannot switch in either. Genesis goes Snorlax. Rhydon is Paraslam. But in the big picture, Serpi is winning this game. Cloyster against Starmie, this is where Genesis can get a knockout, maybe. Cloyster against Cloyster. And this is where Thunderbolt Tauros would be ideal. At some point, Genesis is going to use Tauros. He goes Tauros indeed, critical hit. Pulls back, and I don't feel like you can pull back here. You have to go all the way, like you just got a critical hit. When is it going to happen again? I mean, when are you getting a better scenario than this? So Cloyster misses Clamp against Starmie twice, 3 times as Gengar comes in. Snorlax against Chansey, Genesis gets the knockout. Turn 65, Cloyster switches into Rhydon and Serpi predicts correctly by going Rock Slide. Nice play. But I'm not sure you can go Cloyster here. Rock Slide was something like 80% to knockout. Tauros takes out Rhydon. And next we have Alakazam against Chansey again. Hyper Beam takes out Alakazam, very nice. So Genesis needs to predict Explosion from Cloyster, and then he needs to win the speed tie against Gengar. Also Earthquake against Gengar is something like 30% to KO. And also he needs to beat Starmie. He goes Zapdos first, Serpi gets the knockout and wins the game. So all in all, some questionable plays by Genesis, in all honesty. Yeah, turn 56 in my opinion is where Genesis lost this game. And Serpi's team, I'm not very impressed, but he played very well. Game 2, Genesis Sentai leads, Genesis paralyzed. Serpi throws one Ice Beam and Starmie is frozen immediately. Wow. Genesis goes Tauros and Sing connects. And this game looks very bad already. Tauros wakes up, but Snorlax can switch in, and now it threatens the knockout with Hyper Beam. Serpi has Hyper Beam indeed. Genesis goes Snorlax wisely. Both players have Reflect. Serpi goes Jinx, tries to land Lovely Kiss, and obviously right now Genesis has to try Body Slam on the miss. Jinx misses, Genesis gets the Paraslam. Unfortunately, Snorlax doesn't do great against Starmie. He decides to switch out, predicting something like Surf. Instead, Serpi uses Blizzard, so Jinx is back in action. Then Serpi goes Starmie again, and maybe this is where you want to try Body Slam against Starmie. No, maybe playing around the Psychic is a good idea. Chansey comes in, Serpi doesn't want to trade Thunder Wave, goes Chansey, so Genesis goes Snorlax again. This time Rhydon comes in, Genesis uses Rest, with Reflect up, so Serpi is fishing for Earthquake critical hit. Genesis reveals Ice Beam, so Starmie is back, Thunder Wave into Full Paralysis again. Good roll for Serpi, Snorlax goes down and this game is virtually over. Genesis was very unlucky. Also Body Slam 255 misses. Not that it matters, but and finally Genesis reveals Rhydon. Once again, when you have Starmie against Jinx and you have Rhydon in the back, you want to go Exeggutor on turn 1. So this was a very unlucky game, but if you go Exeggutor on turn 1, all of a sudden you have Exeggutor against Chansey and it's an entirely different game. So luck matters, but sometimes you have to make it happen and make it go your own way. And obviously there's no way Serpi can throw a game with this kind of RNG. Good games. Next we have Amaranth against Spies. Amaranth leads with Tauros. Spies goes with some chain switching, Jengar, Exeggutor. Sleep Powder misses as Articuno comes in, so Spies goes Starmie. Double switch into Jengar and Amaranth stays in, uses Blizzard, gets the freeze. Exeggutor and Starmie meet. Sleep Powder for Thunder Wave. Then Chansey and Alakazam trade Thunder Wave. So no sleep for Spies. And Amaranth got a freeze, a sleep and paralysis. So turn 9, this game has already taken a clear direction. Amaranth goes Snorlax, Spies uses Psychic, then goes Jengar, so Amaranth goes Zapdos knowing that Jengar and Rhydon aren't used together, and Zapdos makes all the progress, uses Agility, Jengar goes down. Snorlax from Spies, Amaranth uses Thunder Wave and then he pulls back, goes Snorlax, uses Reflect and then attacks Sleeping Starmie. Everything is going well here for Amaranth. Spies sacrifices Starmie, then goes Exeggutor. Amaranth goes Chansey. It's a 6 on 3, so good game. Game 2, Spies anti-leads again. Amaranth as Jinx. Jinx struggles a bit, then it lands Lovekis. Chansey comes in, Jinx uses rest. Chansey against Chansey and Spies has Thunderbolt, so this looks like he doesn't have Sing. Amaranth goes Jinx, Spies goes Tauros. Cloyster is the answer. No Thunderbolt, I guess. Chansey switches into Cloyster. Chansey against Chansey. Spice doesn't land Thunder Wave. He goes Alakazam. Amaranth goes Tauros. And Spice has a plan. He goes Gengar, so he can scare Tauros out. Double switch to Snorlax as Jinx comes in, Sleeping Jinx. Good play. Executor comes in and finally Spice lands Sleep Powder. Amaranth gets Thunder Wave off against Chansey and now Snorlax. Spice predicts Snorlax, uses Thunder Wave, then Snorlax. So this is a close game. Amaranth uses Rest with Snorlax, Spice goes Gengar, but Chansey is going to switch into Gengar all day. And at this point, Spice is going to use Beambolt Chansey to make progress. Gets Thunder Wave on Snorlax, goes Snorlax, Executor into Snorlax, possibly predicting a switch to Tauros by Amaranth. And yeah, Spice is trying to get the freeze or the knockout on Snorlax. Turn 37, very nice switch to Tauros. Cloyster comes in, so Spice goes back to Chansey. Amaranth gets the critical hit, so Spice goes Gengar, Amaranth goes Tauros. Spice decides to protect Gengar, rightfully so. Snorlax comes in, but it's in danger, so Amaranth attacks, Earthquake gets the critical hit, Snorlax goes down, Spice goes Tauros, and at this point, Spice's team is weakened, and when Zapdos is revealed, things look very bad. Eventually, Snorlax reveals Earthquake, so all Amaranth needs is to get rid of Chansey. Snorlax makes some progress. Executor uses Explosion, Amaranth goes Cloyster and leaves Explosion. Spice really needs a freeze on Snorlax, it doesn't happen. Alakazam is sacrificed. Gengar gets the critical hit on Snorlax, but Zapdos is extremely dangerous and it's going to win the game from here. Actually, Cloyster explodes for the win. So well played by both. Then we have Kaz against Nicole. So Nicole has Gengar against Alakazam. Executor comes in, lands Sleep Powder. Kaz has Starmie with Blizzard. And he leaves Sleeping Alakazam out. Nicole goes Tauros, predicts Gengar, which isn't there. Kaz misses Thunder Wave, so Starmie and Chansey trade Thunder Wave. Snorlax comes in, Nicole goes Gengar. Let's see whether Snorlax has Earthquake. Yes, it does. So Nicole goes Snorlax. And Kaz wins the speed tie with Hyper Beam. Tauros revenge kills. Kaz goes Executor, but Nicole has two paralyzed Pokemon in Executor and Chansey, which are good status absorbers, so no sleep for Kaz. Kaz exposes Tauros, so Chansey Thunder Waves Tauros. And this is similar to what we have seen in Alexander against Felix, like exposing Tauros to Thunder Wave even if it's rest, usually doesn't work. And when Nicole puts her Tauros in front of Kaz's Tauros, it looks like things are going very well. However, Kaz gets the critical hit, so the defeat is postponed. Sleeping Alakazam goes down. Only dangerous Pokemon Kaz may have is Zapdos. Nicole stalls Exeggutor and puts Exeggutor in front of Exeggutor, then clicks Hyper Beam, predicting Starmie to come in, and gets the knockout. Very nice. However, Exeggutor now is in Drill Peck range. Kaz reveals Zapdos, takes out Exeggutor, and here we enter the final stages of the game. Nicole goes Jengar, and this is where mind games happen. Nicole clicks Explosion immediately, so now Tauros can sweep the entire team. Nicole goes Starmie instead. Maybe that's because Exeggutor is a roll, very doable roll for Tauros. Kaz tries an unlikely double switch, which doesn't work, and Nicole gets the win. So early game was very important again, no sleep for Kaz. Game 2, Kaz anti-leads again, Nicole has Jinx. Goes Chansey into Thunder Wave, then Jinx again. So sleep for 2 paralyzed Pokemon. Both players go Tauros. Turn 5 Tauros Ditto. And Nicole wins the decisive speed tie. Kaz has Alakazam and Rhydon, tries to Paraslam Starmie. It will not happen. Kaz stays in, gutsy prediction, doesn't get the Paraslam. Finally Alakazam comes in, Starmie uses Thunder Wave. Alakazam puts pressure on Chansey and Nicole overpredicts using Ice Beam. So Nicole has to go Snorlax. Kaz is fully paralyzed with Alakazam, so Rhydon has to come in, but Snorlax has Reflect. Kaz gets the critical hit and the Paraslam on Starmie. So things are looking good here for Kaz. Nicole sacrifices Jinx. Rhydon takes out Tauros as well. Nicole reveals Zapdos, which is now open. Kaz uses Thunder Wave, Chansey comes in, so Nicole can now heal Chansey. And also Starmie. So it looks like Kaz doesn't have a lot of offense in the back of his team. So Nicole can get back both Starmie and Chansey. Turn 59, Kaz reveals Slowbro, which is not looking great against the fresh Zapdos, and Rhydon is very crippled, very low on life. Zapdos uses Thunderbolt into paralysis, into full paralysis. Wow. So Slowbro goes down. It did absolutely nothing. Kaz has Exeggutor, and maybe turn 26 was the timing for sending Exeggutor out instead of Alakazam. Right now Starmie is a pain, Nicole can stall Alakazam, Exeggutor switches into Blizzard, critical hit, Exeggutor goes down, and this game looks over. However, Kaz has rest on Rhydon, also noticed the touch by Nicole, Seismic Toss and Ice Beam Chansey, and in this scenario both Alakazam and Rhydon are under attack. Turn 141, Kaz has the chance to go Rhydon and possibly wake up. Alakazam is under pressure by Chansey and Starmie. However, Chansey is low on PP, Starmie is low on HP, so if Kaz goes Rhydon on turn 141, maybe he can still make it. But even there, he doesn't have Rock Slide for Zapdos, so Starmie is going to come back in the game at some point. He stays in. I think this is an over prediction. He tried to predict Starmie. Nicole uses Drill Peck, Chansey doesn't FP, so good games. Finally we have Sceptros against Chuva. Sceptros trades Jengar for Jinx on turn 1. Chuva goes Cloyster, however Sceptros has Starmie. Chuva stays in with Cloyster and uses Clamp. Finally Chuva goes Alakazam, uses Thunder Wave. Sceptros gets the first sleep, goes Snorlax, Chuva stays in. Cloyster switches into Snorlax, uses Blizzard. Sceptros keeps body slamming. Finally goes Starmie, and Chuva gets the freeze. Chuva goes Rhydon, Sceptros goes Chansey, so he can get Thunder Wave on Chansey, still no sleep for Chuva. Turn 25, Chuva doesn't use Thunder Wave on Snorlax, maybe predicting something, or maybe he doesn't have it, I don't know. However, Rhydon is very dangerous there, but Sceptros uses Earthquake and gets the critical hit. So Snorlax beats Rhydon. Chansey can switch into Cloyster, Freeze Claws is active. So what happens here is Sceptros offers Starmie to Chuva, and this way Sceptros can go Snorlax if Chuva accepts. I think this is a place where Chuva wants to go Tauros. Chuva decides to attack with Thunderbolt, and Zapdos can use a Snorlax. He clicks Selfdestruct and Chansey is gone. So now Chuva wants to clamp Chansey. Next, Cloyster beats Chansey. Sceptros misses Hyper Beam. Nice explosion by Chuva. And finally, Chuva reveals Slowbro. So this is why he didn't go Tauros. He just doesn't have it. And Slowbro wins the game. Game 2, Chuva leads with Tauros. Jinx gets a lovely kiss off. Chansey comes in and puts pressure on Jinx. Rhydon comes in immediately. Starmie counters Rhydon, so no Exeggutor most likely. Rhydon comes in, Sceptros predicts Body Slam and goes Chansey. Very nice. And a double switch to Snorlax. Chuva goes Exeggutor, Paraslammed. Jinx can wake up, Rhydon doesn't have Rock Slide. Now Sceptros goes on offense and the Exeggutor has Rest. So Jinx against Alakazam. Some switches, then Snorlax Paraslams Rhydon. When Chuva reveals Substitute, Sceptros uses Self-Destruct to get rid of it. Goes Chansey. Sceptros sacrifices Jinx. Rhydon comes in and it gets a critical hit Rock Slide on Alakazam, which is 70% to KO, 1 hit KO. This is something that you don't see often. A critical hit rock slide on Alakazam. So now it looks like we're going to see a game 3. Rest Exeggutor can be obnoxious. It sleeps Snorlax, stun spores Chansey, but eventually it doesn't get the knockout. Some stalling. Then turn 66, Sceptros goes Rhydon. And good predictions will not be enough for Chuva. And not even misses. Eventually, Rhydon beats Executor. Slowbro is revealed. Starmie doesn't have Thunderbolt, but Chansey does. And eventually, it gets the critical hit before Tauros and Rhydon have to intervene. Nicely done by Sceptros. Not sure about Tauros' lead on Chuva's side. So, final game of the week. Chuva misses Hypnosis with Jengar. Jinx connects. Sceptros goes Chansey, uses Thunder Wave, makes progress. Chuva puts pressure on Jinx. Tauros comes in. Snorlax switches into Tauros. Jengar comes in. Snorlax keeps using Body Slam. Now Chuva is trying to get the sleep back with Executor, but he uses Stun Spore against Jinx. So chance against Jinx again. Sceptros predicts Tauros to come in, uses Blizzard with Jinx, and lets Jinx go down, then revenge kills with Tauros, and Chuva has to switch out, pivots with Jengar. Sceptros uses Body Slam again, Starmie is Paraslammed. Chuva goes Rhydon. Sceptros Body Slams again. However, Chuva gets the right prediction by going Chansey on Blizzard. So Sceptros goes Snorlax. So players keep switching around in this game of special and physical attacks. Snorlax puts pressure on Starmie and eventually it explodes. Selfdestruct takes away Starmie. So maybe Chuva's team is more crippled, but Sceptros needs to find a way to take out Chansey. Tauros against Executor. Chuva uses Sleep Powder and uses Rest. So Chuva looks very well positioned. Stun Spore on Chansey. Right now Sceptros needs to find a way to deal with Chansey, and it looks like Rhydon will do. Chuva has Seismithos Chansey and Rhydon can be dangerous. So yeah, Sceptros goes Rhydon and he needs progress from the rock. Chuva goes Executor. Rhydon gets the Paraslam, Rock Slide, Full Paralysis, and this is where the game changes. So now Rhydon uses Substitute. So Rhydon against Rhydon, Sceptros pulls back. Rhydon comes in against Chansey, and it's going to get a knockout on Executor. Sceptros goes Starmie into Tauros, critical hit and the double switch. Wow. Turn 63. And this double switch earned Sceptros a clean KO with Rhydon. So Chuva has to sacrifice Rhydon, goes Tauros, and Sceptros has more material. Sceptros goes Chansey, and Chuva uses Rest. Sceptros stays in, uses Thunder Wave against Tauros, and also Chuva stays in. Sceptros uses Thunder Wave again. Rest again. Eventually Chuva pulls back. Both players can heal Chansey. So we have some more PP stalling. Zapdos can use Starmie at the cost of being paralyzed. Eventually, CHUVA-SCEPTROSS claims Septros' Sleeping Tauros, then some more Starmie against Chansey. CHUVA-SCEPTROSS also claims Septros' Chansey, but ultimately it cannot beat Starmie. Chuva pulls back, but Septros has more PPs. So, turn 194 Chuva goes Tauros, gets predicted and loses the game. Like, this wasn't the best ending, but both players played very well. Like, this was the best game of the week, I guess. Even though this final Tauros switch was not the best. So we are left with just one undefeated player, that is Nicole. Congratulations. Definitely a good mix of Zapdos, Starmie, Rhydon, Cloyster, and Selfdestruct Snorlax. Rest and Selfdestruct, so a good variety of teams, good plays, solid early games, and that's it. Thanks for watching and see you the next week.